Welcome to A Conversation With, a podcast that takes you inside the lives of people who've defined the environmental services industry. Join host Scott Davis as he sits down with innovators, entrepreneurs, and leaders to uncover career-shaping moments, personal insights, and the lasting impact they've had on the field. Now, let's join the conversation.
Well, hey, man, I do appreciate you doing this. So I've been looking forward to this for a while, for us getting together. Like I said, I've always thought you were interesting, and I'd love to hear your story. I know you're from Michigan, and why don't you kind of tell me a little bit about how that all started? How'd you get to California?
That goes back. I've told this story a lot. So it was always kind of told around, like usually after conference hour, or it was around
with a few beers.
Yeah. So, but no, I'm actually really happy to share that because I think it really tells like the story of how it all began. So, I grew up, I was born in Flint, Michigan, and for the audience that knows, that's about an hour away from the greater like Detroit area. So I grew up in between Flint and Detroit, kind of a small town, maybe 50, 60,000 people. And growing up there, it was kind of like half where half the parents in that community kind of worked in straight up blue collar type job. The other half had your, small businesses or pretty big businesses around the greater area. They had either like a carpet company, auto, they had like an auto or like a car lot that they owned, or maybe they owned the local, pizza restaurant that everybody knew. So kind of coming up, I grew up on the blue collar side where my father worked for General Motors for 33 years. My mom was a stay-at-home mom growing up. So work ethic was really embedded into myself and my sister growing up, right? It was constantly hammered in, So a lot of that kind of carried over to later into my childhood where I had a little I would get into disagreements because I think my parents, or at least my father, wanted me to really go into, he thought I was going to follow into maybe his footsteps because my grandparents worked for GM, Chrysler, or Ford, just like him. And that was kind of the thing to do. It paid well for that time. So I think he was really wanting me to kind of go that route. And I knew from a young age that I had this like entrepreneurial spirit. It's hard to say. Mm-hmm. So we clashed a little bit growing up. Not a bad thing, but it's just I clashed. So around the time I was, I worked probably a dozen jobs around the town where I grew up. Rather, it was greater like Detroit area. It was truck driving. It was working in trades for a little bit, working at a pizza restaurant, working at a golf course, working at a grocery store. All the things that I did, I really liked having my own business per se back then. I hustled selling baseball cards. I raked and mowed lawns. I shoveled driveways. No matter how hard that the work was, I liked doing that because I could, there was really no limit to what I learned that at a young age, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, when I was in my late teens, I told my parents I'm gonna go to college. I was the first in my family to do so, and ended up going to University of Michigan. I believe when I first started, I went into the environmental industry or into the environmental program. It was just something of personal interest in mine. I was always into kind of seeking the truth in environmental, right?
Yeah.
Like people take, for example, and I'll get, you might laugh at this, but when you're a kid and kids ask their parents, Mom, Dad, why is the sky blue? Why are those mountains there? Why is the ocean salty? How are those comets getting this? It just things you take for granted. And a lot of people can't really answer them, right? It's like, well, they've always been there. Or whatever their answer is, that answer wasn't acceptable for me. I wanted to get more of a clear-cut picture.
So is that why you went into, did you get an engineering degree or geology degree?
Geology.
Okay.
My undergrad's in environmental science.
Okay.
Actually, physical geography to really be technical, but
that's the same as mine.
Yeah. So we did a lot with mapping and surveying and topo and area, but it was a crossover because we did all the math and science courses, chemistry, bio, physics, math, all that stuff. Um, but that was really a personal, I was really interested in kind of learning that. And then it kind of took me down that avenue. And just like anybody, when you're in school, you have a real idealistic sense of what you're going to do. I'm going to get into the environmental industry and I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna clean up the earth. I'm gonna make a difference, right? You have and you know, you don't know till you get in the uh into the professional world. So I guess technically my first job in environmental was I worked in the lab at school. I was a tutor and I was helping with lab assignments. Some of the students in like the 100 level classes. When I was finishing my undergrad, I was helping students basically didn't understand environmental. I was
Yeah.
helping them with their lab, helping them, I was helping some of the profs grade papers, that that sort of stuff. Um,
Do you think it was the classes you took? Did any of those classes you originally took to have, strengthen that interest in environmental?
oh
Like
yeah,
your
definitely.
geography class or something like that? That's what it did for me. I took a geography, and I love maps, and I was always attracted to them. But I took a geography class, and the professor was fantastic. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, I mean, there were definitely classes that were more interesting than others, to answer your question. So yeah, there were classes that I actually legitimately enjoyed going to. Some I
hmm
did,
yeah,
but were some that I really enjoyed looking forward to. Even like I remember taking physics. That class was always really of interest to me. It just made sense.
yeah,
Doing the labs, those sorts of things. And I think it really carried over into later into my career because again, it's all about looking at the data, and just like you learn in science, you come up with an hypothesis, you come up with a conclusion based off the data. So
right.
it's similar to crossover to what we've done later in later into my career and what we're involved in. So, but going into the California piece, so I feel like there a lot of the odds really stacked against me making a move to go to California at the time.
Well,
Uh,
how old were you when you did that?
I moved out when I was 22.
Okay,
Um,
so did you already have your degree?
I just got it.
Okay.
I just got it. Now, um, I did have a family member that lived out here. I had an uncle who lived out here, and I visited California when I was, I want to say 13.
hmm
I stayed in the Bay Area for a couple weeks, and I just fell in love with it. There was something about it. I fell in love with the energy, the people. Everybody was just on the hustle.
Yeah.
There was just a certain, it's hard to explain, there's a certain vibration between people, plus the weather, plus many other things.
Yeah.
Obviously, music.
You, you can't beat the climate out there.
No, no. And then again, and also throughout my teenage years, I was doing music a lot. I was playing a lot of bands, doing a lot of shows. That really drew me out here too, to see um, the different talent that was out here. So I did an internship out here the year before I moved out here. I did a school internship through University of Michigan, but I also worked for a guy that was on tour with Steely Dan at the time.
Oh, wow.
So I think what really sealed the deal for me was I remember I went to his house and we watched the sunset. He lived in Playa del Rey at the time, I remember, which is right by like LAX,
Okay.
essentially, right like that. So um, he he goes, I know you don't have much money, just bring something. I remember him saying, he goes, just bring something. So I brought a 6 pack of beer, and we there was probably 10 or 11 other musicians there, if I remember, and he just hit like record. And he goes, "You guys just jam." And I remember just that was magical to me. Like we just all
Yeah.
just played, never playing with each other before. We just put some random music on 40 minutes of a CD at the time. He ripped it. To this day, I wish I knew where that was. Like I couldn't tell you, but that to me was Like, okay, there's something spiritually, magically about this place. So once I finished my undergrad, I ended up, trying to save as much money as I could that summer after I graduated. Moved out to LA with basically $1,000. Drove a van out across the country. And the hustle was on, baby.
Yeah. Wow. Man, that story sounds familiar with you hear a lot of stories of people doing that. Do they make it? Do they not?
Oh, it was poverty, man. The first 2 or 3 years, it was, it was different. But I will say, in retrospect, those times, like, I remember being in that situation at the time. Like, how am I going to pay rent? How am I going to eat?
Right.
If you want it bad enough, you'll find a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's
that's,
amazing how much during those times, in your younger years, you can stretch that dollar. When you
oh
first
yeah,
start out,
I mean,
I mean, I look back on that. I remember me and a friend, Josh knows him. We went to Mexico, and for $150 for 7 days, and that included travel and food. I mean,
I mean, you really start using your head. It
yeah,
forces you to use your brain, and I remember that's really where I had to put it to the test. Um, and I remember just again just hustling. I was going to grad school. I got accepted into a grad school program. It was a hydrogeology program at the time. It
right.
was new at where I went to school for my graduate studies at Cal State LA.
Okay.
Just started a hydrogeology program, so I got into that program. And
Did you work at an engineering firm or environmental firm while you were
so
doing that?
the first semester, or when I first moved out here, no, I did not work for any environmental, I should say professional environmental companies. I worked at the school. I worked in the lab. So I was kind of the same thing that you do with some of the environmental work that we do now, but it was a lot of field work, a lot of collecting water samples, water and
Mhm.
groundwater samples, um, filtering them, running them at the lab. Again, looking at the data, assessing the data, and coming up with kind of your idea, your thesis on it. So I worked on some really cool projects out here
Oh, that's cool.
at school. I worked in like a fire burn area near San Bernardino, where we were collecting soil samples,
Oh,
studying vegetation like recovery.
oh, so okay, so on doing that, I mean, what'd y'all find out? Especially since the recent LA fires. Is that
Well, so it's funny because the funding got cut for that was my first thesis project when I
okay?
was at Cal State LA. So what I find out, that yeah, there's a lot of wildfires constantly out here.
Yeah.
But we were studying the areas at the time, like where there's going to be prone mudslide areas and vegetation recovery. Um, and we were trying to map those areas, trying to shade the areas on a map, for lack of a
Right.
better term, that are going to have maybe quicker recovery or not as quick recovery. Because obviously, if there's vegetation on the hill, it's going to help with sustaining and preventing certain mudslides, right?
Right.
It helps
Yeah.
kind of stabilize some of the hillsides. So, um, the my thesis project though was based off of studying deuterium and 018 isotopes in groundwater and stream water to try to source it to see where like the origin of the water is. So you use radio uh, isotropy.
Okay. What you kind expand on that? What do you mean? So what'd you find out?
You gonna put me on the
What exactly?
spot?
Well, no, I know it's a long time ago, so don't worry about it.
No, 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 no. I'm just messing with you. So it's basically where there's stream water, we were trying to see where the water is. Is it either coming from surface runoff or is it coming from recharge from groundwater?
Okay.
So really what I found out is more of it was coming from a lot of it. I mean, obviously in the wet months, the data proved it was coming from surface runoff, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So it actually works. So I thought that was like the one cool aspect of it, I guess. How does it how does it make money, or how does it apply to what we do in our industry? Not really so much.
Yeah.
Unless you're in really, really high level of technicality where you're doing fate and transport for like contaminants, that they'll use that sort of methodology or technology, but we we really don't. We so rarely ever get into that.
Yeah. So what was the main driver for you to start your own company? You said you were you always had that entrepreneurial spirit. Was that it, or you saw an opportunity, or you're just like, all right, man,
So
tired of
yeah,
working for other
so
people?
my first job that I worked while I was in grad school, my first professional job, I worked for it was kind of like a one-man shop. And he worked with all the different oil companies, so different gas stations and whatnot. And at that time, the industry was a lot different because working in environmental consulting, everybody at that time wanted to work either like they wanted to get the Shell or ConocoPhillips or like the BP big contracts, and you were doing that type of work. Now in the 80s and the 90s, apparently, just before my time getting into it, that work was way more lucrative and there was way more profits to be made on the business side. Once the oil companies hired their own in-house professional geologists and engineers, the the margins slimmed a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but the first couple of years I worked for a tough boss. It was tough, different times back then working consulting. It was tough love, for lack of a better word. Um, you learn your technical writing skills very, very quick, or you don't survive in this industry. I mean, for those listening, I think they can concur that they're probably laughing too. If you don't get your technical writing skills down, though, you're going to have a hard time. It's going to be an uphill battle. Some grasp it quick, some don't. All right.
Yeah. That's,
It is.
that's interesting you say that. So it's probably my third or fourth job in the field. I worked for this husband and wife.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know they were married. They had different last names, and
Wasn't us, was it? No, just
no,
kidding.
no, no. This is back in the late '90s, probably.
Yeah.
And these people had those two people had a phenomenal reputation in the industry, and I was like, God, if I can work for these guys, I can go
Huh.
anywhere. Anyway, I ended up getting the job, and that gentleman, his name was Ron Ilg, was tough. He did not pull punches on anybody.
Mm.
And I did learn a lot from that guy. It was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was funny during my interview. I was interviewing with both of them. Her name was Patricia McCoy. Fantastic. She was a great manager. Enjoyed working with her. And I loved working for him too. He had his PhD, I think, in ichthyology or something like that. And she had a master's. And so I remember during the interview, she's like, well, Ron, do you have any questions for Scott? Yes, I do. He had a real raspy voice. He always smoked cigars and drank coffee all day.
Awesome. Well, that's a
Yeah,
good combo right there, Scott.
right. And he goes, yeah, I got a question. And he goes, do the words F you, says all these, 4-letter words. Do they bother you? And I'm just sitting there going, oh my gosh, I just heard about 5 or 6,
You get
cuss
offended.
words. I did, yeah. And I was sitting there just stunned. And, because this was a professional engineering company, and I was just like shocked. And she has her head buried in her face. And I'm just like, I look at her, and she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I probably should tell you, me and him are married. And I was like, you're married to him? And he looks at me, what the F is wrong with that? But anyway, he was great to work for. I learned so much from that guy, from both of them. And you're right. I mean, if you didn't learn quick, you were out. And
Yeah, or they
so,
would just they would force you out, or even in those times, they would really just let you go. I mean, it's
yeah,
so.
it's
I mean,
there was
and
no baby in it at all.
so I really attribute to a lot of my initial technical writing skills to that first job I had, because he was a tyrant, man. He was tough, and you know tempers flare. I mean, and then everything was every single little hour out in the field, he would ask what I, just those kind of things, very micromanage.
Yeah.
Right. So, it was not fun. From that regards, like if I'm working out in the field, if I log 12 hours a day, mind you, as a salary employee working 12 hours a day, or sometimes even 15 or 16, if I'm on a pump test, he's like, oh, well, it's taking you 6 hours to do this. Well, when I was your age, I did it in four, like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, sure. But,
Yeah.
um, But I really a lot of the yeah, I really can, like, attribute a lot of the technical writing and field, like, logging and whatnot to some of those first 2 years in, because I saw people get canned,
Hmm.
you know? So, I mean, I saw it in the office, and it was, I saw coffee cups get thrown at the wall. I saw tables get broken. I mean, is it right? Probably not, but again, I think where I can attribute a lot of that is not only did I learn skills under pressure, but I learned, how not to treat, my employees, I
Yeah,
guess.
no, yeah, that's true. You do learn that. I mean,
I
I
mean,
also think there's something to be, having some thick skin, be able to take it, deal with
you
it.
have
You
to.
might not agree with it, but it is good
Yeah.
to know that. So many people are so, oversensitive, they get offended easily, or, maybe they don't
Yeah.
appreciate it. I'm not saying it's
Well,
right. It's just
everybody's
different.
boiling point is different, right?
Yeah.
And, I think that's part of the test is they're going to push you and, until they find that point, and they're going to find your weakness. And I do agree with that approach that you have to, you know, if you're
Yeah.
going to find, because you can improve on those things, but at the same time, don't keep digging your thumb into
Yeah.
that either. So, um, yeah. So again, anyways, the first couple of years I had worked at, um, that place, and it's kind of a sad story. He ended up going out of business, and, um, he just, again, I think it was management skills.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
after that, so I paid my dues those first 4 or 5 years working in the field, sitting on the rigs, installing groundwater wells, doing soil borings, working 24 hours sometimes even, believe it or not.
mhm.
We we didn't have shift changes, and we had to do pump tests. So I would catch a nap whenever I could, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, I was able to finish grad school while I was doing all this. But at that time, I kind of got after working in that it working in that side of it for a couple years, doing the cleanup slash like remediation work. I was introduced to the phase one world, right?
Mhm.
About I don't know, '03 or '04, I want to say, and that kind of falls in line with kind of your, right, with kind of where
Yeah.
we might have crossed paths. So it went from long-term projects to extreme transactional type of work where there's very short deadlines, very high demands. There's a lot on at stake and on the line. So it's a completely different world than what I was used to doing. Um, but I learned that side of it. And again, a lot of technical writing, right? Because
Right.
a lot
Right.
of that stuff I did at that time. But I think where it really kind of set in motion because both my wife and I were doing that work. First, we did it as employee for a couple different people. Then we just a lot of the times, like the model was, we were subs, right? We were good subs back then, so we were in pretty high demand in the mid 2000s.
So did you meet your wife at work?
No, we both had grad school physics together.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, yeah, that's where we met, and her background is more biology,
Okay.
so it's a little crossover with environmental. It's still like applicable, but to this day, I don't know if she truly really liked doing the environmental stuff. I think she did sometimes, um, but like regardless, when I was doing all this sub work, I mean, again, we were in pretty high demand in those days because I had I was able to understand the subsurface and the cleanup and working with agencies, but also do a lot of the technical writing. So it started making sense. Clients were just coming to me directly. And I said, just go on our own. So in 2007, that's when we started Fulcrum Resources.
Okay. So 2007 started that. What was the biggest challenge you think when you started your business? I know for me, it was actually starting the business because I didn't know what was required to start a business. I knew how to do the work, but I had no idea what was required to
Yeah.
actually start a business and run it. So for me, that was one of them. And then, employees were another challenge.
Yeah. So you definitely hit it there. I mean, starting it again, when you're just starting it, you don't know really how to start. It's just taking that first step, taking that leap
Mhm.
of faith. I never, I didn't have that issue. I didn't have really the fear of failure or anything. It was more just, "Oh, I got to do this daunting task and this daunting task, right? Um, to really kind of get it up and rolling. So I did a lot of the initial work of doing that before I kind of made the announcement, right? That's kind of
Yeah.
how I did it. And I didn't tell a lot of people. Very few people I told at the time, like, I'm going to go start my own environmental firm.
But
I,
why is that? Why is that? Was it just, hey, I wanted to, were
um,
you doing some work for other people? Were you're worried about it losing that
no,
work or?
no, it wasn't really that so much. Again, I was more just worried about a backfire.
Mm.
So what I was worried about, I had like maybe on one hand I could count where I told people I was going to be doing it and kind of a timeline when I had to, when I was going to announce it. And they were like, yep, we are totally loyal to you. We totally got your back. And that's kind of how it worked. And then it just kind of snowballed from there, just slowly over time. Challenges, obviously, 2008. That was the
Mhm.
first punch in the face. Right after I started, you talk to anybody in this industry that was around at that time, they'll tell you the sky was falling.
Yeah, it was definitely a challenge. I think any company that made it through that definitely made them stronger. I remember in 2007. So my wife will help a lot with the business. She's the one that you would tell me, okay, this is how you set up a business, so forth. She just was very business minded.
Yeah.
And I remember we were meeting, it's August of '07 or '08. And she had this chart. I'd love to find the graph. She was showing transactional and then home build
Mm.
from the 40s all the way to 2006 or 7, something like that. I remember the graph. She's like, the way this looks, I think there's going to be a turnaround sometime. I don't know when, but it's coming. So here's what I suggest: we do if somebody quits, don't hire anybody. Just through attrition, we'll go that way and so forth. And I remember going, "What are you talking about? We have
Nobody
so
thought
much work. I don't know. There's not enough bodies to do it."
2007 was definitely, yeah, that was night and day. And I think that's why when we started in May of 2007. So that's,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, it was.
night and day difference. Yeah, we
Oh, it
were,
was totally night and
we were
day.
cranking.
We were, yeah, totally night and day. And I remember, I wish I could find that graph she had. I don't know where she got it, but thank God that she, and we did. I mean, when people quit, we just didn't replace them. And that helped a
Yeah.
lot because she already had a plan together. And, eventually when we got to that point, she's like, okay, this is what we need to do. So it helped a lot. But I remember I did tell her one, I was like, I don't know if we're going to make it.
Yeah, I think the one lucky thing we had for us at that time is we hadn't grown. It was just really myself and my wife Ling that were really kind of running it. We didn't have a big amount of employees. We were still in like the infancy stages.
Yeah.
So we didn't like really, if anything, the subs were starving for work at that time. So they were
Yeah.
really hitting us up. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really
Yeah.
have any, I don't have any leftovers really. That's
Yeah.
kind of what stung the most, I think, at that time for us is I could feel their pain.
Yeah.
But it
No,
was,
no, I definitely hear you. I mean, we maybe had about 10 contractors and restaurant employees. So we were around 40 or 50
mm,
people. And through
yeah,
time, were we got down to 12, through people just would go find something else, and
yeah,
it
yeah,
worked out. But I do know
yeah.
that after that I was like, I was like, if we make it through this, that we can handle a lot. So
Yeah,
it,
that's exactly right. And
yeah.
so, there was that challenge. And then just as we grew Fulcrum, there was different things. And I'd say there's different plateaus we would hit, right? We'd kind of do this, flatten out, do this, flatten out. As we grow, there were always challenges. There was always growing pains, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clients were coming to us asking if we do other services, and we're trying to find ways to do that. We're trying to hire good people, and then you start getting into where you have multiple employees, and it becomes a challenge, right? Because now you got a
Mm-hmm.
whole other. Now you got the operational side to deal with,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's just like anything, like any, like any industry, you're getting pressure. People want you to get involved with more marketing. So you're doing everything. You're doing marketing, you're doing the technical work, you're doing the operational work, you're doing the HR work. I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of that.
Yeah. How many employees did you guys end up getting up to?
I want to say 32 or
Wow.
33. We had the most, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
all across the
That's
country. So it was,
Did you have a lot of 1099s, contract people working for you doing phase ones?
Uh, just like every other company,
Yeah.
yeah. We had a group of 1099s that we liked and that we trusted.
Mm-hmm.
We would use because it didn't make sense to have, or not, and I'll use the present tense. Not did it didn't it doesn't make sense to have people on payroll um in certain areas or states that if we're not servicing or if we're not getting them, it just doesn't. And
No.
but for what they want to get paid because they're
Yeah.
gonna right. So that's
There's a lot of companies that do that. I mean, like you said, it makes sense to, those situations to contract out, some you work with a lot, maybe.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So and
absolutely.
then they always seem to work. They always seem, in my experience, a lot of them would actually work harder. Because there was really no ceiling for them, and they would do the extra work. And if they didn't, then we wouldn't use them again, right?
Right, right.
So,
Yeah.
and the word gets around quick, right? If they didn't do a good job for us, chances are they're probably not doing a good job for other firms, right?
Yeah.
So,
Hey, what is your thought about using AI for phase ones or any other
generate
type of report?
reports.
Yeah. Yeah. Generating reports, analyzing data.
We're
Uh, you know, it's
doing
a
it.
question that came up through a colleague of mine. She asked me the other day, and I was like, that's actually a good question. I know it's coming. I just,
It's definitely coming, and it's going to be here real soon.
yeah,
Um, I've sensed this for a while too. Things change. Change is inevitable, right?
yeah.
And 10 years from now, we'll probably be like, "Told you so." I mean, it's definitely coming. The question is like when the product is delivered and the end user, are they going to be able to distinguish it? Maybe, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, if I use AI to generate a report and you're the end user, are you going to know I used AI? Do you have to know?
Well, yeah, there's no way they'd know. I
If
don't
there's a
think they'd know.
QA/QC on our end, a QA/QC process, and it still gets delivered, what difference does it make? That's kind of my thought and opinion on it. So if you put in keywords from you mentioned like a phase one. I think phase ones can be delivered maybe in like an AI format. Eventually, I
Mm-hmm.
think we can get there. Um, just by inserting like keywords that you see at a site visit and or photos.
Right.
I think you can get
Well,
there.
I've seen AI used to like interpret data, going through that or photographs or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah,
know
it's definitely coming. So I'm not going to be that shocked when companies slowly start doing it. I think you're going to start seeing companies out there that are either inventing or utilizing software or outsourcing their software to companies that specialize in that. Because it doesn't have to be just for phase ones, right? It can be any.
no, yeah, it can be anything. You can any
So,
type of report, you know.
so I definitely think it's coming. However, I think what you're going to see is that there's the companies that rely heavily on volume of phase ones that will probably go in that direction of using AI. Because if they don't, they're probably they'll slowly, I think they'll probably slowly go away. But
Yeah.
they're going to have firms too that specialize in actual environmental cleanup and assessment, whereas the AI component won't really work, I think, right? Maybe you can use it to generate part of the report, but you can't replace. It's kind of like doing like a trade, an electrician or framing or plumbing, right? It's going to be hard to have like an Autobot do that work for you actually out in the field. There's too much of a human factor there. So I think you're going to see a separation of that. I think of like inevitably. That's,
Yeah.
you
Yeah, it'll
know,
be interesting to
that's
see. It's
so
definitely the talk right now. I know different companies are looking at how to use it and how effective it'll be. And I think you're right. I think it'll be here sooner than we think.
it'll definitely be here sooner than we think. But again, I think there will be a separation of companies eventually that they want to go that direction and just do massive volume of phase ones. I mean, really, like the price. Here's an interesting part because I know you and I work in, when you say
Hmm.
phase one, we work probably the most in that industry together.
Right.
Okay. So really the price point of phase ones over all these years, I'd say the last 25 years, hasn't changed a ton. It's dropped, it goes in waves.
Yeah, I can remember in the '90s though, we were getting $3,000 or $4,000 for phase one, sometimes more than that, and we were doing the databases by hand. You get a Mapsco book. You're looking up
Sure.
addresses, stuff like that. And you get a data dump.
Going to the
Uh,
libraries and stuff.
yeah, stuff like that. So
Yeah, I remember.
we charge more, but you're right. Out of last few years, it definitely hasn't dropped a whole lot. I mean, you hear Julie Kilgore talk about people doing phase ones for beer money, and there's
Oh
definitely
yeah,
people
there's
that do
firms
that.
for yeah, literally for beer money. That's
Yeah.
a good analogy. It's I mean, it's so like again, I think you're going to have a separation of companies that are going to utilize AI to generate these sorts of reports, and then you're going to have the companies that are doing um, more of actual like environmental cleanup, working with agencies. Where I don't know if it's going to be as applicable
Hmm.
for generating the deliverable because you got so much more field work that you're doing that it almost makes sense to, you're still going to generate or a human will still generate those sorts of
Yeah.
reports. I think
So with all that in mind, where do you see environmental consulting going in 5, 10 years or so? 15.
I mean, kind of like what we're talking about now. I think that
Yeah.
you're going to see more of a conglomeration of companies, especially when it comes to anything it's involving data with properties. I think data is going to be conglomerated and so important
Hmm.
because the use for making opinions either politically or geospatially with uh, making decisions in with what's going to be the driving factors for environmental.
Hmm.
Like, I'll give you an example. Like, the hot topic is your climate change come up a lot, right? Now, rather not getting politically here on this podcast at all, but it'll be good for, again, looking at data and seeing, okay, are there trends changing here? Are these areas being impacted versus these areas? I
Hmm.
think you're going to see a lot more um, conglomeration of smaller or mid-sized companies that are going to get swallowed up by the bigger people.
Well, during COVID, that happened a lot. I mean,
Sure.
my company, it was during COVID that we got, it wasn't meant. It just happened to be, it came up. We were, talking before that, but, you notice, during that time, there was a lot of consolidation of companies, a ton. And,
Oh
there was a
yeah,
lot of private equity money out there looking for a place to park.
money was
And
free.
yeah, it was crazy. Uh,
Oh. Yeah, and I think you're still going to continue to see that. And
yeah.
again, I think really with companies that specialize, I've already seen it happen in the last 15 years. You're going to see companies that are gonna basically join forces, right?
Yeah.
And they're gonna be, wanting to do kind of like everything. They're gonna be the one-stop shop, right?
Right.
That's what you're gonna see. And then you're still gonna have firms that truly just specialize in actual environmental cleanup. I'm not gonna say company names, but there's a ton of companies that claim that they do actual environmental cleanup slash like remediation, but they really don't.
Yeah.
I hate to be frank on it, but I'll say it, and they really, really don't. Um, so you're gonna have the separation of that, I think, eventually. And it really depends on what your end user slash clientele is, right? If you're targeting lenders, like again, you're gonna see even a bigger like conglomeration, I think, of companies. It's just gonna continue to do that as
Hmm.
time goes on, especially if like you said, implementing like the AI aspect of it.
Right.
It's just gonna be cheaper, more affordable, quicker turn times. All these things are gonna work where it's gonna be better. And then
Well, that's an interesting point. So you think, with the use of AI, you're going to see quicker turn times than what they are now? Because, there's some people out there doing them in 10 days
well, I
for
mean, it
phase one.
depends on well, I mean, if you can auto generate a
Right. Yeah.
in seconds. I don't know how long it takes to do
Yeah.
it, but let's say, almost instantaneous via like AI. And then you just got someone to QA/QC it. It takes much faster to review it than it does to
Hmm.
actually assemble it and write it. If
Right.
AI can assemble figures and put together a report that's nearly flawless, right there, that company is going to, whoever has that is going to have the leg up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not, the cat's not coming out of the bag. Don't worry. But
Yeah.
that's where I see things going. And again, I could be dead wrong. I mean, I could be.
No, I don't think I think you're on to something there. I mean, just like we talked about, there's going to be more companies that can acquire other companies, consolidation, bigger companies swallowing up smaller ones, or whatever it might be, because to grow in a market, that's the quickest way to grow, for one. And especially if you want to add more services, you require a company that has it. But
Well, yeah, and then you're going to be a huge you're going to be a huge like differentiator, right? Because there's so many companies that do good jobs, right? In phase ones.
yeah,
But if you're the first or you're one of the first to be able to do that, you just separate yourself totally, and then you could charge whatever.
right.
That's the kicker.
Yeah. Wow.
You can do a phase one, assuming you get out and do a site visit. You could charge whatever you want for it. I mean, people will pay more to get a report done in, half the time, right? Just as an
Yeah.
example. So again, it's just business. I think there's the business and economic side of it like that. I don't think we're quite there yet, but I see that trending down the road.
So, a few months ago, I know you sold your company. What was one of the drivers? Was it that going, seeing the future, going, all right, maybe it's my age, or hey, you know what, this is coming down the pipe. I don't want to go deal with that and compete with all that and see prices go down, or just
Uh,
right time, right
there's
place.
there's multiple factors. To say it in a nice way, yeah, I was just, I was kind of getting fried.
Yeah.
I was getting a little burned out just on it, and it's not to say that I am. I mean, I'm not saying I am now, but at
No,
the
no, I hear you.
time, I was really, really,
What's different pressure that's on you?
yeah,
You
just dealing with, you know,
payroll.
yeah, there were so many things. Plus, in personal life, I know, some clients know this, some don't, or people listening know, some don't. But at that time, it was really one of a challenging time for me. I was dealing with, uh, at the beginning of COVID, I had newborn twins.
Yeah.
So
Congrats.
it was like boom, boom.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, that was a big challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things were happening at that time, a lot of uncertainties, a lot of, I don't want to say it in a nice way, but just, yeah, it was just a lot of added pressure.
Sure. Yeah. Look.
Me personally, where I could just tell it was time. I was like, like enough's enough. I can't. continue at this pace like this.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
no, I hear you. It's definitely, I had a partner and I could tell he was ready. And, Carol Lenore, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So we were just talking over coffee and just, we're, probably complaining about, how we're all programming and having to come up with something new every time and, competing, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
she said something that just kind of, made sense. It's like twos and fours. It's just like, wow, yeah, that could be awesome if we were to do that.
Yeah. And I
And
was,
so,
yeah. And, I think that I had, I mean, there was, yeah, I was just at that point, I was happy with where I was. I wanted to do more personal stuff. And again, it's taking that leap of faith, right?
yeah. Well,
Uh,
look, it takes a lot to start a company and keep it going for as long as you did or whatever. A lot of it's not easy. There's a lot of companies that start up and they fail.
17
And
years. Yep. It was,
yeah,
so I'm definitely proud to say that. I mean, a lot of positives more than negatives, right? We employed a lot of great people over the years that have come and gone that are still with me to this day. Um, we've, I think we've really made a difference within the communities and providing guidance for clients and lenders and, you name it, anybody that's associated with a property transaction. I mean, we've done over billions of dollars, right? With, every total property transactions being a part of it. Just myself, I've been probably, I'm not necessarily me direct, but my firm or subbing under me,
mhm.
I think 15,000 properties that I've worked in all across the country.
Oh
So
wow,
yeah, so
that's a
it's,
lot.
yeah, so if you do the math, it's all there. But again, that's over almost a 25-year career span also. So
Yeah.
it's, um but there's been a lot of good things. Again, I think that, again, providing guidance, doing uh doing work for different, like, regulatory authorities and agencies where we're getting sites to closure or near closure. We're looking at it more of the individual property owners where we're actually assisting them and helping them with real environmental stuff. I mean, I think
Hmm.
that's, I can proudly say I pat myself and, a lot of the people that worked under, Fulcrum and even Blue now that continue to with us that have really, assisted with that.
Yeah.
So it's, and that's kind of my goal. I mean, if I want to, I definitely want to leave a legacy, you know.
Well, it's neat. I mean, the with Blue and all that. Now it is neat to have more resources to lean on to help you with whatever issue that comes up, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
remember
And I think
when
what was, yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's awesome because I remember I was at a company, Carter and Burgess, and huge firm. Well, if I didn't have experience with something, somebody within the company did, and it was awesome to be able to reach out and do that. Just like at Eris, there's so many resources there. It was kind of cool to be able to go, hey, you know
Yes.
what? Let me call so and so. I think they could probably help.
Yeah, it definitely was a huge thing because, like before, that's any business owner. I'm sure you sensed it. Any business owner will tell you that, at least in the beginning and maybe even all through it,
Yeah, no, it's cool.
your, like, weekends are going to be swallowed up, catching up. Your holidays, your Christmases and Easters and all those things. I mean,
Yeah,
you
well,
you're going to be working.
vacations,
Yeah, you're
vacations with your family. You're working.
constantly working. You're
Yeah,
never. You ask my
yeah,
wife. It's, you're never truly on vacation.
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
you're always plugged in.
yeah. Well, all right. So think right now, if you could think about your young self back then, and if
Mhm.
you could go back, what would you tell yourself? What kind of advice
Young self at what age? Like,
well, when you start getting into the profession, you just started
oh,
out.
question.
You're sitting there going, I just moved to California to have this job. I'm not making hardly any money.
What would I actually do different? Nothing.
All right. But would you give yourself any advice going, hey, man,
Oh,
hang in there. Hey, I know it's tough
um,
now, but it works out.
yeah. I mean, I would just say, without pain, there's no growth. That's
Yeah.
the saying goes. So again, there's no easy route. And anybody tells you otherwise, they're full of it. It's not. There's no easy route, and I can tell you many times that I pain and suffered. I may not show it. I didn't want people to see it, but I definitely went through times of hardship, pain, and suffering, emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally,
Yeah.
you name it. I was in. I remember one of the lowest. I can tell you a low point was, I had tore my ACL when I was younger, when I was in high school, and I was working at the time as a subcontract. I think it was just before I started Fulcrum, if I remember the timeline correctly. But I had just gotten knee surgery. Um, you know, Financials weren't great. I got my car repossessed. I mean, it was a bad deal I was dealing with. I was trying to get out of an early rent lease and move to a different place. But at the same time, I'm maintaining my professionalism over the phone, with clients and dealing with stuff. And I never ever I never let them know,
Yeah.
I guess. And it's
You know,
hard. It's hard
it
to do
is,
that. People don't.
but it's the struggle. I think you learned so much from the struggle. I
You
think people learn a
100%.
ton. That's what kind of started. So I was talking to this guy, and this is what kind of piqued my interest was his story. He same thing, started his business and the struggle, and that's probably what was most interesting. It was like, oh my gosh, he was like, yeah, we had to live off a gas credit card to eat and to run our business. And back then the gas card was you could only spend it at the gas station.
Yep. So
But
you're
yeah,
eating and filling up at the gas station. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, I think the lowest points, like I said, it's a shame to say, but yeah, I had my car repossessed. I couldn't make the payments. I was hobbling around, on one leg essentially,
hmm
on crutches, struggling. And again, that's a mental challenge because I'm trying to go to physical therapy to get healthy. I'm a very active person. So it was really, really bothering me that I couldn't get out and do physical activities that I like to do.
Well, I mean, it's kind of cool though. You're able through your starting a company and all that, and because I know you're big into music. I
Yes.
mean, I listen to your Lick and Learns. My only complaint is you probably need to do more of them.
I know you and other people too. So again,
Yeah,
that's another thing that you bring up is that, like my personal, um, I wanted to really pay more attention to my personal life. So right now where I'm at, that's another reason why that I sold too.
yeah. Well, I
Um,
know you. In the past we've talked, and Lick and Learns. People can go to your LinkedIn page. I'm sure they can go probably a Facebook page and see it. But look, I think it's great. It's kind of neat. It's a neat talent. Um,
yeah,
I
it's
appreciate that. And
one thing that I'm doing now, and again, it's all just on my personal time. But yeah, what's really cool is, I'm spending more time with my kids and family, I feel like, than I did like before. I was really neglecting that side of my
mhm.
personal life. And it was starting to eat at me a little bit. And, with my kids getting older now, my older son, Colton, he's, couldn't ask for, he's a, straight A honor student. Um,
Yeah, I saw a video of him thrashing the drums.
he's phenomenal drummer and he's a phenomenal baseball player right now. So I get to experience, it's almost like I get to see like my younger self or something, but not as good.
Yeah.
He's better. So it's like I live.
Do you guys play together?
Oh yeah, all the time. Ever since he was 2 years old. So we actually jam and he plays shows almost every weekend.
Oh, how old is he?
So it's I'm sorry,
How old is he?
12.
Wow.
So he's playing with kids that are about his age and they do like performances at a lot of the local venues here. So it's really cool. Like he's getting interviewed by newspapers and doing
Oh,
a lot.
wow.
So again, that's a super big motivator for me. And we're like recording music, we jam, and it motivates me to do more of the music. And then I also teach. I've had my group fitness instructor license for many years. That's another hidden, I studied martial arts. A lot of clients know this too, but I did martial arts for many, many years, and I've had my group fitness instructor license. So,
What type of martial art? Is it like jujitsu? Is it karate or what is it?
I did a Korean martial art called Hangdo for about 8 years or so, and then I did karate, jujitsu, and then little MMA
Oh,
competition. And then
do you roll around now?
I wish I did. I don't have time.
Because yeah, I don't know. Josh is big into this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's I don't know, but I think he goes on Saturdays and does it, and
It's great.
yeah,
It's kind of like a video game, right, Josh?
It is. Yeah. It's what I love most about jujitsu is it keeps me from being fat. That's my favorite.
That also works. There's the physical aspect of it, but there's really it really helped hone me in. I think I was the most into martial arts was when I was probably at my highest struggles. So it really helped me like I mean, obviously physically and spiritually it's there, but it really helped me mentally.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people can eventually like succumb to the hardships, right?
Right.
You turn to other things that aren't so healthy, right? So it really kind of helped keep me focused in a lot of ways, and it helped in so many ways. So right now I teach 3 to 4 times a week in the mornings. I teach martial arts and hit classes in the mornings.
Okay.
That's pretty fulfilling too because I'm kind of giving back, and I've seen people grow that way too.
Oh yeah. It's interesting. I've heard somebody say this, and I think it's true that a lot of these people that are in the martial arts or MMA or whatever, they're actually, when you get to know them, really good, mellow people. I don't know if maybe that does it, mellows them out or whatever, or just
I
knowing
think it
that, hey,
gives
you
you
go kick some
confidence.
ass.
Most people, I'm speaking very general here. Again,
Mhm.
there's whole exceptions. Josh is smiling a little bit, but this is a very general statement. I think that if people do it long enough, I mean, like if you ask someone that just trained for like a week, like at a
Yeah.
trial or something, it's totally different. I'm not saying that, but someone that is actually trained for a long time or done it long enough, it's not that yeah, they could be mellow, but it's confidence that they know they can handle themselves.
Right.
I think you walk around with a certain aura or confidence that it's not that you're looking for trouble, but you're just
You
you
can
have that
handle yourself.
like yeah, a stiff
Yeah.
breeze is gonna blow you over kind of thing. A lot of people I think tend to. It's really sad, there are people that live life like that. I feel like, and it's not a good place to be. It's not a good place to be where you're in that mindset. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, look, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of hotheads, a lot of, I don't know, a lot of issues going on out there. So, whatever, if somebody can help them get to that place.
Well, yeah, it's just I think that again, like people come in, a lot of times they come in because I teach at a gym. The number one reason people usually want to go to a gym is they want to get in shape, right? They want to lose weight,
Mhm.
but it takes work. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen the first time. Maybe the first week you'll feel better definitely the first week if you stick with it, but one time going in and then eating healthy for one day is not going to work. You got to
Yeah.
create a habit.
Are you working a bag too?
I'm sorry.
You work in a bag at all?
Yeah,
And
that's all.
yeah.
That's all in. That's yeah. My knuckle here is still
Yeah. Oh yeah.
this
Yeah.
day, so it's yeah. That's all part of the. That's all part of the workouts we do. So we'll do hit stations if you're familiar with that. It's basically like circuit training where we'll have
Mhm.
different stations and we move station to station, and yeah, the classes are real intense to get your heart rate up, and
That's cool. So are you competing as well, or?
I don't compete. I don't do
Yeah.
that.
Well, yeah, we all get well, at least me. I get that age where I'm just like, I'm not gonna do that anymore. It's just, we
Yeah.
have Josh and I have a common friend. He's one of my best friends, and we all wrestled together.
Ah, okay.
So there's probably like 10 guys. We all stay in touch, and we all wrestle together. And it's amazing. Like my buddy Todd, nobody could ever pin him. Well,
Mm.
today, poor Todd, I don't think that neck could hold up. It's just so
Oh,
jacked up right now from, I don't know, people yanking on it or whatever.
too many like headlocks over the years.
Yeah, I mean, he had a bridge, man. I mean, he could hold that thing forever, but
Oof.
yeah, now he can. I mean, he's just probably
Yeah.
who knows what it's from. You know, a lot of it. Well, heck, a lot of athletes just get torn up over time. We just
You know,
can't.
it's funny. I met last Saturday. I met Jose Canseco. I got a signed autograph card
Oh,
from.
that's cool.
Guy's still
Jacked up. He's still jacked. Yeah, I saw a picture of him. I
Couldn't
don't know.
believe it. I'm like,
Yeah,
geez,
this year.
like my childhood idol, or one of them. And yeah, he still looks good. So
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I would just say, like a lot of, I know that we got to cut it here, but
Right.
I would say, like those reasons I mentioned earlier, like I just knew it was time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, look, at some point you want to make life easier. You got
Yeah.
family, you got
And,
kids, your wife, and look, life's short, man. It really is. And you want to appreciate, what time you got left. And
and the irony on it is that a lot of times I'm definitely working harder, I feel
yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
than I was before, but I don't have as much of the baggage as that I should
Yeah.
make. Not that I don't know if baggage is the right word. I didn't have
Well, no, it's just less, you're probably working as hard, but you have less of the pressure, the stress of having to do some of the other functions of being an owner where you can focus more on, what you want to do, whether it be, hey, I want to go look at some polluted water or whatever it might be, or I want to, whatever it is in your
Mhm.
profession or sales or dealing with clients or whatever. But
Still heavily involved in that, and yeah, I'm still very heavily involved with dealing with clients, and I'd say the most of the work I do nowadays is, again, I'm dealing with a lot of problem sites.
yeah,
People ask what I do that don't understand environmental. I'm literally putting out fires. That's what we're doing. We're dealing with problem sites, and um, a lot of the stuff I'm dealing with directly is more of the complex sites, and a lot of the team will deal with just kind of the every day to day stuff,
yeah.
the day to day questions. But yeah, I mean,
Well,
I feel like there's a lot to offer with what I've learned over the years of doing this, and I would say to conclude this podcast, I would say that if you're thinking, if you're getting into college, I'm talking about kids that are getting into college now, like out of high school,
hmm
the environmental industry or even civil engineering, um, and even trades too. But I would say those those avenues are going to be like sky's the limit. There's already a big demand, and there's a lot of talented people out there that would get picked up and or start their own firm like
yeah.
eventually too. But there's a lot of people that
You know what I find interesting? There's a lot of people in this industry and probably all industries that have a creative background, such as music like yourself. Do you see that a lot? And do you think that helped you with your career? And
um I mean, it's like a left and right brain kind of thing, you think? Is that what
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just look, I ran, my company, and over time I realized, I've talked with people and you get to know them, and I bet you over 50% of our staff had some creative side like that. They were in a band, they played a musical instrument. Or heck, my partner was, he played guitar. And it was funny because we always just talked about work, but then for years I didn't find out until later. And we were
Yeah,
just
so
talking. I was like, what the hell? You play? I didn't know you play guitar.
yeah. And I think it was a lot of like taboo like that. Like, my first couple years working, it's like I think I talked about this earlier. It's like the bosses and or companies I worked with, they were just like, we want a picture of you with a suit on a website.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
no problem wearing a suit. I like wearing suits, but I
Yeah,
just
but
never
yeah.
felt like that's not really, I think people, so anytime, like when you saw our website all the time, it was pictures of us doing things we like. So a lot of like one of my employees was, like you said, she was creative. She baked her own. She was into baking and creating and making cookbooks. And then the other one was a painter and an artist. The other one, there's pictures of everybody doing their hobby. That was important to me. Is these aren't just, it's not just the black or white suit that's there doing the work. These are people that, they have other passions. They don't just do environmental consulting.
Yeah. I got stuck in a stereotype, and I learned from one of our managers. I'd, the process through time, eventually, the managers would do all the hiring,
Mhm.
and I'd help them out if they need, if they wanted me involved or something like that. And one of them had hired this guy, and he was all tatted up. That's arms, sleeve, had sleeves and all that. And I was talking to him, and then over time, I got great guy and fantastic producer, worker. I mean, he was a major contributor within the company. And I remember, and I pulled the manager aside, I'm like, man, I'm learning something from the younger people, because I probably would have bypassed this guy based off of that, just the tats. There's many tats. And I realized what a great guy this was. I was like, I would have totally missed this guy and missed an opportunity to work with somebody that's fantastic. And I'm still learning.
Oh yeah, it's always evolving. I think, I don't think you're wrong in saying that. I think in the earlier time, or in the earlier days, like call it like old school or whatever.
Yeah.
Like appearance might be everything, right? If like
Well,
you mentioned someone coming in with tats, or somebody,
yeah.
whatever it is. But
Well, I did come from that old school because I worked at an engineering firm. Everybody wore white shirts, ties. A lot of the engineers actually had those pocket protectors and pins. I didn't necessarily wear all that, but I had to, dress for the job. And
Sure.
there's a lot of great people out there. Well,
Yeah.
real quick,
Mhm.
you don't have a guitar with you, do you?
Oh, I don't have an app. I actually do.
Ah,
I do have an app. I mean, I do have one.
well, I just wanted to hear a lick.
Let me
If
see.
you,
Hang on. I don't know if it'll come through, but hang on. All right. I don't know if this is gonna work because I don't have an app, but
what kind of rock and
Pick it
roller
up.
doesn't have an amp handy?
I know. Well, talking about being professional here, Scott. I mean, I
I
can't.
know.
All right.
All right, put
So
that thing
this
down.
is
Let's see. All right, so I know you have two guitar stores. I think you said you're a part owner in or something like that.
this is so my mom does the painting. This is
Oh, that's cool. So
well, she
y'all
does
make them.
Flaming Troublecraft.
So y'all make those guitars?
So we actually buy the actual hardware, but she'll do custom paint. This is one she made for me. So the flaming trouble, and then there's a beach sunset on the back.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. All right.
So we'll zoom out there so you can see.
So I'm assuming people could go online and buy these?
Yeah, you can get. It's kind of like getting like a tattoo. That's the way that I kind of explain it. Is if you want, if there's like a design that you're looking for example, if you're into, I don't know, if you're into the environmental industry, right?
Mhm.
You don't know you want to get a tattoo, but you don't know what you want to get, right? You just know
Right.
you want to get something. Well, it's our job or it's my job, and we'll try to extract that from your head. So,
Wow.
hey, I'll talk to you, and you tell me, oh, I'm into oceans or continents or the moon or whatever, and we'll start putting some ideas out, and then we work from there. Then you'll say, okay, change this, change it. So it's kind of the same thing. We'll ask people what they want for a guitar design. Some people want something more like abstract. Some people want like an actual object or figure. We've done several where someone, for example, is a big sports fan of a team. So we did
Mhm.
like St. Louis Blues. They're a huge blues fan. So we did like the hockey goal and like the arch. We made the arch into a goal, the net, and a puck going into it. So
Oh, that's cool. Well, cool. Well, let's hear something if you can. Hopefully it comes through.
you hear that?
Did not.
No.
Ugh. All right, let's see. How am I going to do this? All right. which
Oh.
has acoustic, but this is kind of an original one that I was fiddling with. So see if it comes through.
All right. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything. We'll have to do it.
I'll have to do a lick and learn.
Yeah, do a lick and learn. And I tell you what, Don, so where can people find out more information about you, your guitar shop, and can view some lick and learns?
You can go to my LinkedIn for professional. So just type in my name, Don, and then Kellar.
AR, yeah.
AR.
AR.
I'll kind of give you my little professional background. If you want to look at more stuff on music, I have several albums on iTunes.
Okay. Is it under Don Kellar?
No, well, yes, there is some stuff under my name, and then I have some under my own previous band names, like Mellow Collision. That's the one that one still gets radio play.
Okay.
So you can look up that on iTunes. So Mellow and then Collision.
Okay.
And we did several albums, on that. And then obviously you can find me on Instagram too. I'm not really so much anymore, but you can find me on IG, and it's good to know that more of the lick and learns are in demand. I'm actually hearing that from more people. So
that's good, man. Well, you need to keep it up, and put more lick and learns out there, and maybe we'll see each other surfing or something.
You got it.
All right, man.
Thanks, man.